What's going on, algoriters? It's Wednesday, the day after Election Day, and I want to welcome you to the Court of Public Opinion. I'm your judge, Al Reynolds, and today we're diving into the legal battles that have captured headlines and divided public opinion, especially as it relates to the election. I'm joined by our esteemed legal experts who will break down the celebrity cases we're discussing, helping you navigate the legal landscape and understand the pitfalls to avoid. And remember, please hit that like button. Also, please hit that subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, please be sure to hit that share button and invite some friends to come over here into the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion so that we can break down the legal issues and see how they relate to you and your life. Don't forget, you will be serving as the jury, and your voice can and will be heard here in the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Joining me tonight are my legal beagles. First up, we have Jay Carter. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. Also joining Jay Carter, remind us, what is your emoji again? I keep forgetting the heart, the blue heart. Throw that blue heart. Stars.
Stars. Entertainment.
All right. Stars. Our entertainment attorney lawyer. All right. Stars. All right. Also joining her is our fiery civil attorney, Shatan Turner. Shatan Turner, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion.
Hey, Your Honor. Hey, algoriters. I'm glad to be back.
Absolutely. All right. And last but not least, she hasn't been around in a while, but we're definitely glad to have her back. And she says she's dressed like a slave because she feels like she's going to have to go back to the plantation. Please welcome my civil attorney. Girl, is this legal? Simone Redwine. Simone Redwine, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion.
Child, I'm on back right before I get put up on the slave auction. How much you think I'm gonna get?
You know, you don't look like a slave. You look like a gangbanger. Okay.
No, I'm also ready to set it off. Don't let the beauty supply
that is what you look like.
You look like a gangbanger. There's nothing about that you.
I had a muumuu on earlier. I had to take it off. It was my mama's, and she wanted it back so she could go to bed in it.
All right, everybody. Court is now in session. All right, each case will be read, followed by our lawyer's insight, and we'll take your questions. So don't forget to drop down in the comments because you're our jury as well as our viewers. So get ready to weigh in. And at the end, we'll deliver our verdicts and whether these celebrities are guilty or innocent in the Court of Public Opinion. First up, Donald Trump. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. Donald Trump, president-elect number 47. I want to talk about that for a little while before we get into the case. But Donald Trump is currently facing a civil lawsuit brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James. She's alleging extensive fraud, and she said today that she's not backing down. Attorney Redwine, what are your thoughts about Letitia James' stance, and what are your thoughts about the election last night?
Oh, I think it was trash. It was garbage. But it just goes to show what trash and garbage are the majority of the American people that allegedly voted. Now, I also think there's a lot of Russian involvement in this. Well, this was not a fair and square election by any means. But with respect to Attorney General Letitia, I'm glad that she's sticking to it. I want to be very clear. Trump is allegedly supposed to be the president of the United States in the future, come inauguration in January. That does not prevent him from being tried and convicted and sentenced for state claims. And Letitia brought a New York state claim against him. Now, I believe Trump will appeal it to the Supreme Court to basically say, hey, he's the president. You can't send him to jail. And there's also a likelihood that the judge themselves wouldn't want to send the president to jail. But it's time to stop playing nice. And it's time to treat this convict like the convict that he is.
Now, Jay Carter, he chose the Supreme Court panel. So will it actually have any impact if it's taken to the Supreme Court? And tell us, what are your thoughts about last night's election?
I think last night just goes to show that the U.S. did not want a woman president. Let's start there. They did not want a president that was a woman. This is like deja vu. Hillary Clinton was not also elected, maybe for some other reasons, but I also believe it was because she was a woman. They also, I don't think, really wanted a person of color. So that was Kamala's strike too. And then number three, at the end of the day, the exit polls showed that people really only cared about the economy and immigration. Okay, so no one really talked about abortion rights. Like the majority of people, like why it's an important issue. It wasn't an important issue to the majority of the people that voted. And I will say Kamala's platform was heavy on the abortion issue and not as much on the immigration and economic issues. So at the end of the day, here we are. I'm not actually surprised she didn't win. I knew it was going to be close, whoever won, but I'm not actually surprised at the results. I think America showed you, itself in terms of, again, based on the people that actually voted.
Attorney Turner, what did America actually show us from a legal perspective? Like, what did they actually tell us with going out to the polls and voting for Donald Trump? And not only, let's just be clear, not only the popular vote, but also the electoral votes.
So I'll start with the bright side, although it is really challenging to have any bright sides today about what happened if your candidate didn't win. Also, as you know, yesterday was my birthday, and so I spent all day working the polls, protecting democracy and the right to vote for people, and I was hopeful for a different outcome, so I'd have a cause to celebrate, and I didn't get it. So it hit me doubly hard. So for everybody who's feeling like they got cheated last night, at least it wasn't your birthday. As it relates to, yeah, right. There's that. As it relates to what America showed us, I mean, the one bright spot is in the numbers of people who showed up, right? They didn't express the opinion that I wanted them to express, but at least people seem to care about the process and care about democracy. The real question is, was it and this is something that Attorney Carter was hinting at, was it a vote for Trump or was it a vote against Kamala? I think that Trump was able to tap into a demographic that felt unheard and felt unsupported and also felt relatively hopeless, right? I think these 20% of African-American men and the Latino men and the poor white men, I think that they felt unheard. Think they felt disenfranchised. And I
But
think
how? By what?
Because the economy hasn't worked for them. They're broke. And so what they felt, I believe, is it didn't matter who won because they were going to get screwed anyway. But
I disagree with that, because if it didn't matter who won, then they definitely would have voted for Kamala. They voted for Trump for a reason. They definitely voted for Trump for a reason. They didn't vote for Kamala. They didn't vote because they didn't have a reason. There's
That's not what I
clearly
was saying at all. That wasn't what I was saying. What I was saying is that their particular circumstances wouldn't change regardless of who won. So it didn't matter. But they wanted a vote against Kamala. They did not want a woman in the White House, as Attorney Carter indicated. So that was their single issue, right?
I can give you some leeway on that. Simone Redwine, let me ask you this. What we learned from the exit polls is that white women did not show up for Kamala, regardless of how hard she rode the reproductive rights issue, the IBF issue. No matter how hard she rode that, who cares? Your husband doesn't have to know. But in addition to that, we found from the exit polls that Latino men supported Donald Trump heavily. What do you think this is all about?
That Americans are stupid. Just really, really dumb. I think that they're just so easy to manipulate. I forget because my friends, the jurors, my subscribers are intelligent people. Like, you don't even come over to my channel if you don't have at least a little bit of sense. And I think that when you're just surrounded by other intellectual people and smart people, you forget how dumb the country really is. But they need to keep the stupids around, because without the stupids, you're not going to have the people who maintain this status quo from them. So this is exactly why they don't want books. They want to, dismantle the Department of Education, because as long as people stay stupid, they can stay in power.
Right.
Also, I just want to mention on the Latino note, you have to remember a lot of Latinos actually identify closer to white.
Right.
You have a lot of Latinos, they actually, especially the ones that look like they can pass, they consider themselves more white. So at the end of the day, they're not like, oh, we're this minority, so let's vote for Kamala because she is a minority. No, a
Well,
lot of
this is a deal. I hear what you're saying on that, and I think that's only a certain subpopulation of Latinos that feel like they're white. I think Mexicans don't feel like they're white. I feel like Mexicans do, however, feel like that given how hard they work in America, that for some reason they feel like that they are better than other minorities in America. And because they feel like that they are better and they are chasing the American dream of affluence and home ownership, they feel like that Donald Trump speaks closer to their aspirations and goals for their families than does an African American female or a woman in general. Let me share an interesting observation that I saw at the polls. I went to the polls on yesterday in Beverly Hills, right? When I was at the polls, guess who was at the polls? When I went to the poll in Beverly Hills, you thought you would see majority white rich people. Absolutely not. 80% of them were minorities. 80% of them were Latino. I only saw one other black male, and I did not see, believe this or not, I did not see any black females in Beverly Hills polling center that I went to, which was at the courthouse. What I saw and thought was so interesting was a lot of those Latinos that were there were Mexican. And I had a conversation with one lady, and she said to me specifically that the reason why she showed up to the poll and why she voted for Donald Trump was because she wanted to make sure that the people that she works for continue to be rich and happy so that she can continue to get paid, and so that her entire family that works for that rich man, whether one's a gardener, one's the pool guy, one's helping in the house, continue to contribute to their lifestyle. I mean, continue to live.
That's
to
a perfect example of a dumb person.
Isn't that insane? That frightened me when I left the poll, because 80% of those people at that poll were indeed Latinos and worked for those families in Beverly Hills. What were you saying, Brian?
It's not insane, though. I'm not saying that I agree with that. Not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this person is saying, I am voting for this president because he's going to protect my job. That's no different than a person in Detroit who works on the Ford or Chevy auto line saying, I'm going to, historically they voted for Democrats, this time they didn't, saying I'm going to vote for a Democrat because that person is going to protect my job. They're going
the
to fight.
The reason it's different is it's untrue. So
right.
It's not true, and it's been found to be untrue time and time again.
The other part that I find that the difference is, Brian, the president of Bush, Anheuser-Busch, is not a sexual assault. He wasn't charged with rape. He's not charged with 30. He's not a felon of 34 charges. He's also, like, not trying to like take, education of African American studies out of the classroom. Like, it's a difference between a CEO who's employing people and someone who's clearly been a felon.
But this election was not won on who is a criminal, who's not a criminal.
Right.
Who is capable, who's not capable, who's qualified, who's not qualified. You see what I'm saying? That's not what this election was about. This election was about, am I voting someone in that I want to be in the office? And in this case, they wanted a man. They did not want someone preferably of color. And they wanted someone that was going to hit on the economy and immigration. Point blank, period. At the end of the day, Kamala, in 3 months, raised $1 billion and had over 200 electoral votes.
Well.
She did extremely well. This is not even about her. That's the irony. This is not about her being qualified. This is not about her not doing an amazing job. Most people would not have been able to do what she just did in the last 3 months. But at the end of the day, she could have had Jesus standing next to her. They were not voting a female president into office.
Yes.
Our party has to put somebody else up in the next 4 years that can compete. She would not have ever been able to compete against Donald Trump.
I agree with Attorney Carter up to this one point, because I do think there were some missteps. So I think that, racism and sexism made a certain percentage of people not vote for her, and there wasn't anything that they could do, that she could ever do, to become electable for them. I mean, if you covered their faces and put up their qualifications, she beat some qualifications every time. And the fact that she's not a criminal is a plus. But here's how I think people who voted for him discounted the criminal aspect of it. And I think this is a good point that Congress should consider after we get all these Republicans out, because it ain't happening this time. And it's this: what are the qualifications to be able to run for president in the first damn place, right? So everybody, for lay people, it's like, if I don't meet the requirements for getting the job, then I don't get an interview. Trump was able to interview for this job for 4 years because there's nothing disqualifying a felon for running for president. And that is indeed the problem, because once he got into the race, people who wanted to vote for him had the option of voting for him. And we can say all day long, felon shouldn't be president, and yet he is, right? The other thing is that the Democrats, I think, allowed them to make traction with issues that resonated with the men who ended up voting for them. So one, in Pennsylvania, which was a huge swing state, and as someone who worked the polls all day, it was quite disheartening to see that it went red. They played the Kamala is supportive of surgeries for transgendered prisoners all day long. And the Democrats didn't respond, right? And I don't know why they didn't respond. I don't know if they wanted
I can tell you why.
So woke. But here's the thing about
y'all,
that,
I'm
right?
about to throw up. I'm trying to.
I can tell you why.
No, but I'm just talking about the prisoners. I'm not talking about the issue generally.
Okay.
The majority of people in both parties don't support the surgery for prisoners, right? It's a separate issue from whether or not you support the rights of trans people. And so they allowed them to make traction with that, as if people think that tax dollars should be used for elective surgeries. And I think that could have been responded to in some way that made clear that we are supportive of trans people and the agenda.
I really feel like Shaitan, you're right. And I think hindsight is 50-50. However, I think it's called propaganda play.
Right.
He knows how to manipulate his base. He knows how to manipulate what Simone would call ignorant or dumb. He knows that propaganda, it's what's going to get them out to the polls, and it gets them out to the polls by the hundreds, by the thousands, and in this case, by the millions. So if they had pivoted on that, he would have found another hold or some other propaganda play to also create the same response that he got from his base, especially Latinos and white women and white men yesterday. Let's go to you, Attorney Brian Ross. Welcome, even though you're late. Welcome, and tell us, what are your thoughts on the election last night?
I mean, first thing I think is, was it a fair election? Was it a fair election? In my perception, it was a fair election. I mean, everyone had a chance to do what they wanted to do. I commend a lot of the election officials, especially in Georgia, who went out of their way to make sure that it was fair. I haven't heard cries today, at least, from fraud. So from the standpoint of, was it fair? I think it was. I think that Donald Trump played it the long game for a long time. I think that the Democrats, when Kamala first came out on your show, especially you being very politically active in your own way, you said Kamala's it. And I said to all of y'all, especially Red Wine, who's wearing this beautiful headpiece like she up here gangbanging, I said, okay, Crips in the neighborhood today, bro. So I said, well, wait a second. She hasn't had a chance to be vetted against anyone else. Nah, y'all went crazy on me. You shut it down. I was giving you a black man's perspective on her that we wanted to see. Yeah, she might have been the best choice, but for us, she was the only choice that was given to us. I would have liked to have seen Hakeem Jeffries if he wanted to do it on the stand. I would have liked to have seen Sherrod Brown from Ohio if he wanted to do it up there on the podium talking. And let them brush up against each other and get the vetting process out of the way and then make a choice. And Al, the judge told me, look, they really didn't have time to do that.
They really didn't. She brought this election full circle in less than 90 days. So let's be clear about something. You can talk about who could have been a better alternative all night long. When it came down to going to the polls and voting, it's quite clear that those were the two options, or those were the four options. And out of the four options, America felt like that they would lean closer to a sexual assault, a fraudulent, a bank fraud person, a felon, before they would lean to someone who served every branch of government in this nation. Counselor, I am very disappointed. Hold on. I'm very disappointed that as a man of a license of the law would say that this was a fair election. Where in your professional life is a felon allowed to do the things that this man is allowed to do? You are an attorney. When you convict someone of a felon, that reduces their rights as a citizen based on the crimes that they committed. Are you saying, as a officer of the court, as a lawyer of the court, that he should be exempt from the same things that all our other felons are required to live their lives by?
Okay, so the law of a felon not being able to vote stems from slavery, right? From a standpoint of constitutionality, because that's not part of the Constitution or the article.
Okay, but what? Tell me the legality. I'm gonna say it. Okay? The legality.
The legality. You asked me a legal question. Stems from black people, slaves who escaped from the South to the North and wanted to be counted for voting in the populace, but leaving slavery was a felony, and they wouldn't let them vote, and they use it as a basis, and that's what we deal with it today. However, the founding fathers, whoever you want to call them, whether you support them or not, they themselves were considered criminals, war criminals, thieves who stole from the King of England when we called it a sovereign, and created a body of work called.
Can you get to felons? When you get to when someone is a convicted felon, are they allowed to vote or not?
This is why. The reason why they wrote the Constitution without the language of a felon being excluded from the presidency, because they themselves were felons in England.
Exactly.
I got it, but get to modern day, please.
Modern day is they haven't modified the Constitution to exclude felons.
Which means what?
It depends on the state. Run for president because the Constitution does not forbid it. That is the point.
No, he was asking.
That's not what I'm discussing.
Please, I'm sorry.
But you're saying felons can't vote, so how can a felon run for president? It's two
what I'm saying is how can you expect us to? You have rules, you have constitutions, you have laws relating to felons' right to vote. If a felon who's convicted of crimes, at least 34 of them, can't vote, then why is the president allowed to run?
Because the Constitution
but technically, he could vote because he has not been sentenced yet. So there was even a caveat with that. He was actually allowed to vote for himself.
That's even sadder.
The Constitution, Al, you're talking about policy, and your policy position is arguably correct. It makes sense. But the problem with your policy is it's not law. So I hate to tell Your Honor that, and I have to tell judges this.
No, that's fine. All I want to know is then so other felons should be able to vote.
Other felons can't. They can run for office. You can be.
So a felon can run for president. They just can't vote.
They can't vote. They can't vote for themselves. They can run for president.
That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy to me. All right. As you know, we could talk about this all night, and the discussion is getting good. Let's continue down this rabbit hole with Letitia James, though. Letitia James says that Trump's tower penthouse, he allegedly claimed the apartment was 30,000 square feet, valued at $327 million, when in reality, it was only 11,000 and valued vastly less. His 40 Wall Street, a bank appraisal in 2012, valued the property at $220 million, but Trump reported it as worth over $500 million in financial statements in order to secure loans to build his business. Mar-a-Lago, valued as high as $735 million based on false premises about its usage. However, after close examination as a private club, is only worth close to $75 million. This is a president that we have elected. We also know that properties like Park Avenue were allegedly overvalued, ignoring rent stabilization laws that significantly would reduce the rental value. In the civil lawsuit, Trump isn't facing jail time. However, Attorney General James is seeking significant penalties. She wants $250 million in financial penalties. She wants a ban on Trump and his children for serving as officers and directors in New York-based businesses. And she wants restrictions on Trump's organization's ability to conduct business in the state of New York. Attorney Redwine, what would all of these things, if she got them, mean to Donald Trump as the president?
So my understanding that those, though, I'm sorry, and I'm like emotionally spent from that. This is just kind of a lot for me, which is why I'm still wearing the clothes that I had on last night. I got the drawers on.
But you look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you. So these are civil charges that we're talking about here, and therefore, with these particular charges, it would ban his businesses from participating. No, some of these are criminal. Correction. Okay.
No, all of these are civil charges for her. He still has outstanding criminal charges, but these are all civil charges. This is a civil lawsuit.
Effectively, what it would do is it would bankrupt the businesses. And these are separate arms, separate different businesses of his that are in operation, but the state could actually seize them. So in effect, the Trump Tower, the Park Avenue property could literally become owned by the state of New York. So he lose them. And it would be a part of the forfeiture, the civil asset forfeiture, the forfeiture that he would have to suffer because of the fraud that he's committed. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars that he's going to experience in legal fees. But of course, he's going to use his reelection fund and those monies to pay the legal fees, if he even pays them, because he does leave a lot of the legal fees unpaid, including Giuliani. Rudolph Giuliani had to file bankruptcy. And part of that is a $2 million unpaid debt from where Donald Trump was supposed to pay Giuliani for $2 million in legal work Giuliani did for him.
Attorney Ross, let me ask you this. You've worked on these type of cases, right?
Yes.
When someone lies on a home loan, and that home loan you figure out has now lesser value, and you get a call on that loan, couldn't this revised asset valuation with his loan agreements, couldn't this trigger loan recalls?
It could. That is basically a recall, or oh my God, the term, Judge, forgive me, the term just slipped my mind. I had it right there with my thumb. Yeah, but it could trigger a loan recall, but let's be realistic, people.
But isn't that criminal to lie on your loan documents when you're applying for a loan from an institution?
Absolutely.
It is, but what's the bank interested in? They want you in jail, or do they want their money back?
But here's the bigger problem here. Those are federal crimes. He governs federal crimes.
That's true.
He has the ability to pardon for federal crimes.
I was about to say that. He's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. This thing with New York is going nowhere. The special interest Smith is going nowhere. The only legal problems he has, not to turn the subject, is what is going to happen in Georgia. It's Georgia. We all know what's going to happen in Georgia. It's going to disappear to the world. The one in New York, that's a problem. That's a problem.
But also remember, so I just want to clarify, the mortgage related fraud because of U.S. mortgage laws, that's generally federal. However, because he did certain things in New York, that's why Letitia can get him, and she's not riding up off of him. She's not
right. She's really not. She's really going for it. All right, let's keep it moving. Elon, sorry.
No, the only thing I was going to say is, with all due respect to my esteemed colleague Letitia, I think at some point she's going to have to make a decision, like why, right? So I believe in justice. I think that justice should be served. I don't know what is the advantage to our country to have a sitting president having to respond to this type of litigation.
I know he's a criminal. He shouldn't be the president anyway. So maybe he won't be able to govern.
I agree with that. I agree with all the points that Al made that he shouldn't have been allowed to run, but I'm just talking about in the country's best interest. Like, should these be postponed or stay
No, no,
while he is in
no,
office?
no.
Yes,
It needs to
I
be dealt
don't
with
know.
now.
you
There's a
should.
part of me that wants it to go forward because I think he deserves it. He deserves it, but I don't know if we deserve it. I don't know if we deserve as a country to have
Oh
this
yes,
destruction.
this is what we wanted. This is what we deserved, and it needs to be dealt with immediately
You-
because
you-
y'all forget the fact that if it's handled in a certain way and properly, he shouldn't be able to govern for the rest of it. Now, I
Stop
know
it.
some people are like,
Come
well,
on,
ban
come
him
on.
from church.
Really?
I don't care.
Simon. The Democrats got to, okay. I'm not saying that this had to do with the Democrats, all right? But whatever. Let it go. He won. We got to shape up.
We don't know that. He cheated the first time, and I believe he cheated again this time.
All right, let's keep it moving.
Hey, Judge, I'm gonna go ahead and get.
Order in the court. Order in the court. You know, politics will get you going. Religion will get you going. All right, let's keep it moving. Elon Musk, welcome to the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Legal ramifications of Elon Musk's $1 million giveaway is now coming to the forefront. There's a lawsuit filed by Jacqueline McAfee and others against Elon Musk, centering on claims of fraud, misrepresentation, and potential violations of state lottery laws. Here's the breakdown. The plaintiff alleged that Musk's campaign misled participants by promising a fair chance to win $1 million daily through a random drawing. If winners were indeed pre-selected, as the claim of the plaintiffs are, this could amount to fraudulent misrepresentation. Fraud claims often require proving that the defendant knowingly made false statements to induce the plaintiff's reliance, leading to harm. In addition, the complaint also alleges that Elon Musk used a giveaway to collect personal information, which they felt was monetized on. Attorney Jay Carter, what are your thoughts on the Elon Musk $1 million fraudulent, allegedly, giveaway?
Well, in this country, if you have a lottery or sweepstakes or a giveaway, they have to be done in a certain way. And so they're getting him, I don't want to say on a technicality. That's essentially what they're saying. They're saying, okay, you could have had this $1 million a day giveaway, but you couldn't do it in such a way that it really wasn't a giveaway. Like the goal was to improperly collect and store people's information. That's what they're getting at, that it wasn't truly a giveaway. It was almost like a ruse to get people's private information. So anyway, I'm sure his lawyers will, I mean, this man is a billionaire. He goes out into space. I'm pretty sure his lawyers can make an argument that all sweepstakes at some level collect data, you know, and emails and things like that. And what he did was no different. I don't think this is going anywhere. I think it's a waste of time.
I'm in outer space. You don't have jurisdiction on me. I'm in outer space. You don't have jurisdiction to serve.
Quick question, Attorney Ross. If they are aiming to make this a class action lawsuit, does that make a difference?
No, and I think it already is a class action law. I think he did file. He's beginning of class, but no,
It's not certified yet, though.
Yeah, it'll make a difference. I mean, they're going to say that you entered with a chance to win, and you knew this. It's so funny. I had this same exact fact pattern the first week of law school, and they were offering a car. And I remember we went back and forth, and the ruling was you had a chance to win. It was a marketing promo to entice you into the dealership. It's almost the same thing here. Like, if you think Elon Musk is going to give you $1 million, I got a box of sand that I like to sell you in Saudi Arabia. If you want to meet me there, I even have a car at the airport for you. You know, like, come on, stop it, dude. He didn't get $1 million. The problem for Elon Musk is, though, he needs to learn from his predecessors, because those individuals who lie down in bed with Donald Trump all had bad outcomes. So we'll have to see how this goes.
I get it.
Got that money in Pennsylvania.
There was a winner in Pennsylvania. Tell me about why there was a whole Supreme Court movement there where they ruled first that he had to stop, and then they ruled that it was okay for him to actually do this.
Oh, you mean the Pennsylvania Supreme Court?
Yes.
They were evaluating it, I believe, on the Pennsylvania lottery rules that govern games of chance. And so the allegation was he didn't do it properly. The court ultimately concluded that it wasn't a problem and it could proceed, but he may be bothered by this for some time because he is not the president, right? Just because he's president adjacent, he's not the president. And so he doesn't have the freedom as Trump does to do whatever he wants unless there's some backdoor dealing that Trump has said, do what you want and I'll cover you because I have this magic pen that erases whatever I want to erase. But as Attorney Redwine indicated, it doesn't erase state law claims. And so these are all state law claims. And I don't believe that he's currently facing any election interference claims that would rise to the level of being federal claims.
Got it. All right, let's keep it moving. Everybody, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, don't forget to hit that share button. Turn on your notifications because only good things are going to occur in the next 2 weeks. Can't wait to share. And also jump into these comments because tonight the debate is getting heated between our attorneys. Next up, Megan Thee Stallion. Welcome to the welcome to the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Bailiff, let's see this video from her documentary. All right, attorneys. Help me understand.
How many curse words can you fit in a video?
Question here, right? Lanez was sentenced to 10 years in prison after being found guilty of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, discharging a firearm with gross negligence, and carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle. Is the fact that she lied about their sexual relation, could that also allow Tory's team to ask for a new trial? Because if she lied about this, could she possibly have lied about other things? Attorney Redwine, what are your thoughts?
So my thought is no, it can't be grounds for an appeal because grounds for appeal are things you were unaware of. They knew that she was lying when she took that stand. So instead, what should have been done is they should have used that information to impeach her. And they did in areas. But the appeal is supposed to be limited to information that either was admitted into court that should not have been, or information that they discovered afterwards and could not have discovered prior to the trial. That ain't the case.
Got it. Attorney Brian Ross, could this, so given what Simone's saying, is a new trial, this can't serve as newly discovered evidence or evidence of perjury? If she actually was at the trial, if she was asked this question, if she had sexual relation and she said no, could this be perjury?
If she was asked the specific question, did she have sex with that man, and said no, and then later changed her story and admitted that she did have sex with that man, could it be perjury? Yes.
And what does that mean?
Well, it means that she could be, is it likely? No, but she could be charged with lying under oath, which is a felony.
Now, quick question, Attorney Shatan Turner. If she was asked this exact same question in court and she said no, but later on the documentary, she admitted that she in fact did have sex with him, can Tory Lanez attorneys then go back and say, hey, if she lied under oath about this, she could possibly have lied about who shot her?
I suppose. I mean, but I would like to go back to our, presidential defenses. She's talking about having sexual relations. Maybe she says, what is sex anyway? I said I was effing that N, but to me, that includes this and it doesn't include that. Like, let's use the Bill Clinton defense. Let's be equal opportunities with this whole lying president thing, because this is a whole thing. I mean, I think that the only thing that was relevant to his trial was whether he shot her, and that was a thing in dispute. But, if every woman who lied about how many people they slept with and their body count and who it was, was going to get convicted of something, there wouldn't be any women walking around in America.
Attorney Jay Carter?
Yeah, I think what's not clear, because some people in the comments are saying she was asked at some point in the court, did she have a sexual relationship? And she did at some point admit yes, even though she told Gail no. At
Correct.
some point in court, she said yes. So I think
Mm-hmm.
this is all a hypothetical at this point. If on the
Mm-hmm.
stand she said yes and she
If
lied
she
to
said it
Gail,
in court, then why would she make it a big deal about it in the documentary?
because I don't know when this documentary was filmed. It could have been filmed in different pieces. I guess
It's
my
a good
point
lawyer.
is
Hmm.
if she said it in court, yes, that means there is no perjury. So there's no legal basis for an appeal. And again, as the people in the comments have mentioned, Gail is not an officer of the law. This was in a courtroom, so she can lie to Gail all she wants. I do understand the bigger point, Al, that you're trying to make, that it
Right.
just doesn't make her as credible of a person. And if somebody is looking for an appeal, they're going to be looking for anything. And so I hear you, but I think it's a stretch in this case.
Got it. Okay. Let's keep it moving. Next up, Jessica Reed's lawsuit against Charlamagne the God has welcomed Charlamagne the God to the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. The dismissal of Jessica Reed's lawsuit against Charlamagne the God revolves around key legal principles, including statutes of limitation and the burden of evidence in sexual assault cases. The original incident happened in 2001. Reed alleged that Charlamagne, known as Leonard Larry McKelvey, sexually assaulted her when she was 15. She reported the incident to the police and underwent a medical examination, but did not press charges. Charlamagne cooperated with authorities and provided DNA. Ultimately, he pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of providing alcohol to a minor, and the sexual assault case was later dismissed. Attorney Redwine, please tell me why they're basically saying that this is outside of the Constitution, like her ability, her time limit to
Statute of limitations.
statutes of limitations. Tell me, why wouldn't she be able to file this under the new New York law as it relates to the Adult Survivors Act?
Absolutely. Because Charlamagne lives in New York, he works in New York, he is synonymous with New York. But this happened in South Carolina. So it goes by where the offense actually took place. So not only did it happen in South Carolina, and therefore the law under South Carolina has to apply, not New York law. But secondly, this alleged victim, actually filed in South Carolina first, and South Carolina dismissed her case. So it was not until after they dismissed her case that she then tried for New York. But again, she does not qualify under New York because it happened in South Carolina.
Ah, got it. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter under this New York Adult Survivors Act, right? It has to happen in the state of New York.
Correct.
So all of those offenses, that we saw, new offenses against Diddy, all happened in the state of New York.
That's right.
Ah, got it.
And some may in California. California and New York both have an extension rule.
So one thing too to that point about, like, because since I used to teach law school, I get a law professor on it. The issue that Attorney Redwine and Carter are pointing out is that we talk a lot about the jurisdiction question, which is where should the case be tried, and that's determined by a variety of factors. But there's also the choice of law question. So when you have these types of cases where the actions occurred one place, there's diversity of citizenship, or between where the defendant lives and where the accuser lives, those two questions have to be answered. So it might take place, like she tried to sue him in New York, and as Attorney Redwine indicated, there was nothing unfair about that because he has all these New York touch points. But the choice of law question is for South Carolina law, and that's why that New York law doesn't apply. However, the New York court did mention that there was an evidentiary issue that also helped Charlamagne get out of it, and that was allegedly there was a DNA test that was done in real time where he gave a sample and it didn't match what they retrieved from her in the rape kit. So
Right.
this case just kind of fell apart. What's not clear to me is how the New York judge mentioned that there was a statute of limitation problem, because when I just looked up the South Carolina law for sexual assault of a minor, they said there wasn't a statute of limitation. So I'm not really sure what the actual charge was against him.
And it was actually rape, right? The question here is also, so she tried to pursue this criminally and it didn't work out. How about civil?
Statute of
No,
limitations
she was
is
pursuing
gone.
it. No, she was pursuing it civilly. This was not a criminal.
Oh,
Her
okay,
trying to
then that
balance
makes
it.
sense.
So
Yeah,
originally
she
she wasn't pursuing this criminal.
She was.
Well,
That's where the
her lawsuits
evidentiary
were all
issue
civil.
came in. Yeah.
Yeah, the lawsuits in South Carolina and in New York are civil. What the police decided to do in South Carolina back in 2001 when she submitted the rape kit, I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. if anything
I
was
know.
submitted.
And Charlamagne
dropped
took
it.
a plea deal to something. It was a plea deal to something along the lines of providing alcohol to a minor.
To a
I
minor.
forget exactly what it was. It was providing alcohol to a minor. So when he talks about having been arrested and things like that, it's generally in reference to him having that resolved.
That's interesting because it's so funny how it all just kind of went away. I guess
It
money.
just went away. It just went away. I was saying the same shit.
Things just
I was
kind
saying
of
the same thing. It
went
just
away.
went away. It
This
just
is
went
why
So
you
you
have
away.
to
match the DNA though, then it became a he said, she said thing as it relates to that. Because it was a party, there were other people in the house. So it was clear, I think, that she had relations with someone. She just wasn't able to meet the burden of proof that it was Charlamagne the God, and he's maintained his innocence since that time.
Yeah.
Then why would he go for a lesser charge? Why would he do a plea deal?
Oh, done all the time. Because if you've been sitting in jail and that plea deal is going to get you time served, meaning you can confirm you don't have to spend another day in jail, especially as an S offender, you take that. You do whatever you can to
AKA
get up
Young
out that.
Thug. Young Thug
Yeah,
took a
I
plea.
mean, yeah, but if you really didn't do it, do you want that
But he
attached
did
to your
give alcohol
name?
to a minor,
But he
and
did.
that's what
I
he
think he
pled
knew there
to.
was enough
He
evidence.
gave,
So he was
yeah,
like, let
he
me
gave
just
alcohol
go
to a
ahead and
He
minor.
didn't give her the
So
drink.
I
He
would
sat
advise
it down and she picked it up.
giving
Oh,
alcohol
cut
to a
it.
minor. If that's
I
what
had
you
a
want to
drink.
to
I
make
went to
sure
the
you don't have to spend
restroom.
another day
I
First of
in
came
jail.
all, what is
back.
a
That's
15-year-old? What is he doing partying around a 15-year-old?
Dropped her off at my
Also,
house.
next question
What was a
is
15-year-old doing there?
right. That's what I said. The next question is, and this is a question that I would ask. You said you didn't rape her, but did you have sexual intercourse with her? That would be considered statutory rape
Right.
because
they
of
don't
underage
recognize
anyway.
statutory rape in South Carolina. I covered that in my research too. That's not a term they use, but they do use other terms that could have criminalized it if it had been true. But yeah, in this case, that's where the rape kit came in, right?
Right.
Once they couldn't match his DNA to what they got out of her body, then he didn't copulate, right? So they couldn't get him on that. She
So
had
what
sex
if he?
with somebody, not
What
him.
if he? What if she wasn't the only person that she had sex with?
That's the
He
point.
still would have come in. Yeah, his DNA should have still been on her if he had sex with her that night.
In any fashion.
Right. Well,
Okay.
yes. Sodomy would have, because the way that the rape kit goes, it's pretty extensive to try to determine the match, right? And so that's
How
why
does a rape kit work?
R word, because we can't monetize this.
Oh, sorry. No one let us know.
Just call it assault.
How did the assault? Okay, assault. How does an assault kit work? Anyone know?
Yes.
How does it go? How does it work?
He said that like a creep.
It is typically the same thing that women go to their doctor to do
Oh,
once a year for an examination.
I call it wet my
In the-
whistle.
In the TMI. In the kit, the real value of the kit is that it preserves the sample because they need time to find the person. I won't get into the specifics of it, but it's similar to that visit.
Mm-hmm.
Preserves the sample for a period of time.
Sample of what?
more though too, right?
The
And
swap,
even
the sample of the swap.
because they get hair, they're really trying to
Mouth,
figure out if
a
you
lot.
were with that person. So they do the PAP, and then they also have instructions about how to get other types of samples from the body to determine whether or not the DNA of the defendant.
Okay, right.
But let me
accused
tell you,
there. Yeah, because you could wear a condom, so there wouldn't be semen, right? But there would be evidence
Hair.
of
hair
connection.
exchange and things like that. Your boy Darren
They
Sharper.
do nail clippings.
So
Like it's a
fine.
whole
Ugh.
lot that they do to
Yeah.
try to determine whether or not.
They got him with an assault kit. Darren Sharper, they got him with an assault kit. His issue was it can't be me because I had a vasectomy, but they were able to do their things.
Oh, he had a baby with my homegirl. I think it was after that he had that vasectomy. It's a cute baby. Real cute.
He had a baby with your homegirl?
Yes. Remember that story I told you? That was my homegirl.
So was it the same homegirl that invited you over there?
Vasectomy.
Yes.
Manager?
Girl, yes.
Am I on here?
It ain't no fun.
Happening?
Red wine is all over the place.
Red
baby.
wine. Red wine is crip walking.
All right, let's keep going, everybody. Christopher Carnell, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Bootsy, little Bootsy, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. The request by Christopher Carnell's legal team to delay his case pending a potential pardon raises several key legal considerations. Can you believe this? The presidential pardon power. How in the world, Attorney Redwine, do we have these people who are part of the resurrection who are now saying, can you please
Insurrection.
insurrection. Sorry, I say that. I say that all the time.
Resurrection.
Lord and Savior.
That's right. Insurrection. How in the world?
They was Black Jesus.
How in the world? I mean, where do they get this from?
It's
I can
ridiculous.
tell you where they get it from. They're being smart.
Hell.
He wants to delay his sentencing so that Trump can pardon him. He did a federal crime. You have a president who you did the federal crime for that has now been reelected. This is extremely strategic. This is
Yeah,
smart.
but let me ask you this: doesn't the president have a limited number of pardons
No.
that he
No.
doesn't?
No.
It's unlimited.
No.
He's going to pardon
Yeah.
every single January
Yeah.
6er. Every one
Yeah.
of them.
He is
will
going
be
to do
pardoned.
that. He's absolutely going to do
Wow.
that.
That's
absolutely
insane.
Right.
That's
They're about to
correct.
walk.
That's
They're about to
correct.
all walk.
Yeah, so that's why the judge needs to go ahead and sentence everybody right now. Everybody gets started. Then January 21st or whenever Trump takes out, I think it's the 16th of January.
It's Martin
Then-
Luther King Day, which
Yeah,
is
but guess what? It won't matter. It won't matter because he could just commute the sentence. He might not be able to clean
Yeah,
the
he
record
could.
up.
It will matter because they need to get a little
Federal-
time up in there. They
So
need to,
some
they
honest
need to
like
have
they
to
can still get a little more
cough
time.
and squat. Cough and squat.
Just-
Okay.
I mean, I do think
Stop
that
it.
that President Biden should consider what actions he wants to take
Before he's out of office.
consideration.
Mhm.
Mhm. He
Oh,
really,
yeah.
he really should. I think it's time, and
Like
since
what?
Biden is, even if Trump passes the if he gets rid of term limits, clearly Biden ain't running again, right? Biden wants to leave a legacy for this country that he could be proud of. And even though he didn't have the wherewithal or capabilities to run again, you know, he looked pretty good last week during trick-or-treating, right, Al? I mean,
He did.
together, yeah, he could pull it together and put together something really meaningful to leave his mark and to try to prevent some of these things from happening. He might
And what do
get
you think that would be?
buried
Or
in-
how would it manifest?
Well, he was talking about trying to pass a law to change the Supreme Court's decision about presidential.
Can we see? There we go. Uh-huh.
And so if he could get that through, I mean, it's unlikely, but I think it still is a point of consideration because even though the Congress is going to be stacked for the Republicans, I think requiring them to answer difficult questions during their terms is one way for the Democrats to actually have traction, but it'll only get done if it gets introduced this term.
So really quickly, before we leave tonight, one of the comments in the chat said he could step down now and let Kamala take the presidency. It's so interesting because I said this back when they announced the transfer 90 days ago, that I thought that it would have been smarter for the Democratic Party to let him step down as president and let her become president of the United States, so that the next 90 days, this would be a re-election campaign and not an election campaign. And that she could use her executive office powers to kind of realign things as it relates to the Trump political platform. Does anybody think that would have made some type of sense or would have made a difference? Or do you think that racism and sexism is so strong in this country that it would not have made a difference?
I'm going first. I'm the only man. Doesn't make
It wouldn't have
sense.
made a difference with the
I would
re-election, but I
go
still think it's a good idea. I think it's an amazing idea for him to just still do it. I think he should step down tonight and just let her be president until January 20th. And then that way, it's like a chess move. It's like, okay, you didn't elect her, but we're gonna put her in this position.
Why?
So that
Why, Carter? Why?
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
It's a chess
Why?
move. It's
Why
a
not,
chess
Brian
move.
Ross?
Whatever they want to do, we're gonna take
Excuse
you.
me. Excuse me.
Because
Why not, Brian? Why, Attorney Ross? Why not?
It's a chess move.
Attorney Ross? Why not? She's leaving. Why not? She's leaving office.
She's leaving anyway. Why can't she?
Yeah, I'm just saying she's leaving anyway. Why not?
Know yourself.
She lost. She had a fair. Let me finish. Okay. We, as the Democratic Party, need to reestablish our credibility with those individuals who didn't pick us this time. We cannot pull parlor tricks out of our hat in retaliation, quote unquote, to the tune of let me step down so we can have this black president. Do I want a black woman to be president? Absolutely. I think they should not be discounted because of their sex. They should not be discounted because of their gender, but they have to earn it just like everyone else.
So she didn't earn it?
You don't have to earn it because sometimes people are not well and they have to step down. In American history, you have had presidents that are not in a position to continue to be president. And you've had someone else. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, Brian, you're right. We need to be working on the next 4 years, right?
Correct.
Having somebody ready to go. That could be true. And it can also be true that as a chess move, and I'm sorry, I hate to say it, as a nanny boo-boo, make her president until January 20th. You can do both. It's not like we got to choose. We can be working on somebody else that's not her, right?
And allow her to serve the rest of the term. I agree.
What's she going to do? She's lame duck.
Chess move, a final FU. We can
Yes.
be like, well, but it can be done. Legally, it can be done.
Legally, it can be done.
But Attorney Ross, let what Attorney Carter is saying set with you for a little bit. Okay. Consider it as a legitimate option, but not for the potential FU move that she mentioned, although that does resonate in my heart. But for the proposition that it would almost be like Nixon, right? You got to remember, Nixon was going to be
48 years old,
and he did not, right? He was never convicted like Trump did. He had the grace and the honor to resign, and then Ford pardoned him. Ford also, right, didn't earn the presidency, but he got it because he was vice president, and the president
same fact pattern. Richard Nixon was convicted of a crime and had to step down. Joe Biden has had cognitive dissonance for 2 years, and the Democrats failed to address the issue. They ran the wrong game plan in the football world, and they lost. Your term, what she needs to do is take her behind on MSNBC or on the major networks, just like Trump did. Get your own Twitter fingers and establish your base through your own set of priorities. It was a gimmick anyways, because she was walking into Joe Biden's policies. Yes, her policies align with Joe Biden's. That doesn't mean she has to be Joe Biden. She's a hip, pretty young
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think, hold on. One thing I feel like I can't allow, we can't beat up on this black woman. We can't beat up on this presidential candidate. She, given what she got, she did an amazing job. Also, hold on, please. Also, I refuse to sit here and degrade a black woman when we have reelected a freaking criminal, a rapist, a racist. I can't allow it. All right, let's get to the questions, please. Let's get to the questions, please. Nope. We're over time. Let's get to the question, please. Dominique Brooks, Red Wine, explain why this was not a fair election and why the Democrats aren't saying so.
No, I think many of the Democrats are. I mean, there are a number of things. They're from bomb threats being called in Georgia. Also within Georgia, they as in the Republican Party, specifically called out Democratic counties and said that they didn't want to send out replacement ballots for those counties. They also refused to allow people those people who received late mail-in ballots, and those people wanted to walk their ballots into the polling center. They filed another motion to prevent people from hand walking and hand delivering their ballots. So it was a plethora of things that were done. The disinformation that was caused by Russia. Russia put millions and millions into this election because with Trump in power, that helps them and their agendas, including they win the war against Ukraine with them. So I think we're all in shock. So these things are coming out slowly and surely. But the same way that Russia interfered the last time, we know that they did, from the fake websites, the fake accounts, those different things. Those have already been found to have been the truth. But now I believe we're just in shock. And so everyone's still processing.
All right, let's go to Thelma Jordan. They need to remove from the question concerning being a felon off the job application, because if you can be, I agree, totally agree. If the president can be a felon and be the president, then they need to remove that off. I agree with that. Queen Riley. So he's still lying and committing fraud. Well, according to Letitia James, she's going to reveal it all. And I hope that some of his loans are recalled. Kenny Black, felons can vote if they get their rights restored, right?
Yes.
Felons,
In some states, I don't think it's like a
or
federal
people who've
thing.
been in prison can vote depending on the state. So some states, I think there are 3 of them that say you can vote while in prison. There's 23 that say once you've served your time, you can vote once you get out. And then the other states, it's a hodgepodge of different rules. And so people banter about like no felons can vote, and that's just simply not true.
Got it. All right, Dorian Hamer, but it's like he was buying votes. Isn't that illegal? Well, if he was buying them, that would be illegal, but we would have to prove that, right?
Maybe talking about, I don't know, was that an Elon question?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah.
He had $1 million there.
Yeah, you just had to show you were a registered Republican, right?
Republican.
Yeah.
Right.
No, just voter.
So, but you didn't have to prove that you voted for Trump in order to get the money. But it
Just
still was distasteful. But I think the whole thing is illustrative of the point that Attorney Ross made, and I don't like to agree with him, but
deep down inside you do.
And the Democrats were playing checkers. Anything that was within the bounds of the rules and pushed them a little bit, the Republicans were here for it. And the Democrats were sitting around there being polite and smiling and not being aggressive. They were not gangsters.
But that's all that they've always been like that. And that's been one of my biggest situations with that party, is that they still are trying to run things the old American way, the right way, and it's just not working. That's why a lot of people, especially black men in their discussion, is they enjoy or respect Donald Trump's hustle. He don't give a crap. And he doesn't care that no one else likes it. All right, here we go. This is a part of the show where we, the lawyers, as well as the judge, gives our verdict on the celebrities that are in the court of public opinion. First up, Donald Trump. Is he guilty or not guilty of extensive financial fraud? Attorney Turner, what say you?
He's guilty.
Attorney Carter?
I guess. Yes.
Attorney Brian Ross, is he guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Really?
Yeah.
How can you lie? Oh, Jesus, I can't with you, Brian Ross. All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion, and I'm going to find Donald Trump guilty of definitely fraudulent activity and also fudging the books to get money only to what? Use it to his advancement and not
accuse Your Honor from all of my cases going forward.
All right, next up, Elon Musk. Is he guilty or not guilty of $1 million fraudulent giveaway? Attorney Ross, what say you?
He's not guilty. If you thought he was going to give you $1 million, come on. I know someone got one, but stop it. He only did that to avoid the litigation. Not guilty.
All right, Turner.
It's a loaded question because you included in there that it's the fraudulent giveaway. So he's guilty of the giveaway. For me, I think the question of whether or not it was fraudulent is still unclear. So he's not guilty for the fraudulent giveaway.
All right, Attorney Carter.
Ditto on what Shatan just said.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion. And I'm going to find Elon Musk guilty of fraud and misrepresentation because there are too many hurdles for people to jump through to get their money. All right, next up is Tory Lanez. Is Megan Thee Stallion guilty or not guilty for lying to Gayle King? Attorney Brian Ross, guilty as charged for lying to Gayle King. Last up, is Christopher Carnell guilty or not guilty of the insurrection? Attorney Brian Ross.
He's guilty of the insurrection.
Attorney Turner.
Guilty.
Attorney Carter.
Guilty.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge here in the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to find Mr. Carnell guilty and should not be given a pardon, even though it looks like he may, as well as the other ones who did the insurrection, may be pardoned as well. As we wrap up today's session, let's remember that the law is complex and celebrity cases often bring their own unique challenges, as you've seen tonight. Our discussion aims to shed light on these issues and empower you, our viewers, with knowledge. Thank you for your thoughtful questions and participation. And until next time, keep questioning, stay informed, and always remember, the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion is a powerful place where your voice can and will always be heard. Court is now adjourned.
Yeah.